Hi, I'm coming to you today from Prodigy, and I wanted to take a moment to show you this great website that will really help you improve your sight reading skills. It's called MusicTheory.net. I'm going to jump right in here by clicking on exercises, and I'm going to choose note identification. And then this is where we would start right here. And we know that that's an F, so we just click F. As you hear, it's actually going to play the note for you so you can hear it, which will really help you with your ear training. Okay, so I'm going to go right over here to this gear icon right here. And I want to show you today exactly how to customize your experience. So I have already picked treble clef because for beginners, I would suggest you start with just a treble clef. Let's move on to the next thing, and it's our range. We can decide by moving these arrows up and down exactly how high or low we want the notes to go. On this side, controls the upper note. Okay, I'm leaving it here so that all my notes remain on the staff. As you know, I'm going to help you set this up for a beginner today. If you're more experienced, you can actually set this up whichever way that works for you, according to your level. Next, we're going to choose the position of the notes where we choose lines, spaces, or lines and spaces. When you start out, I'm going to suggest you do spaces first. After you get comfortable with that, then you choose lines. When you get comfortable with both, then you can go ahead and do lines and spaces at the same time. Okay. I'll move on here to the key signature. This is pretty simple. Best when you're beginning to just choose no sharps and flats. I'm going to move on here. Note names. The note names they're referring to are these down below. Okay. And what they're asking you is, would you like to see randomized letters, or do you want to see the letters in alphabetical order? For a beginner, I think it's really important to just put in alphabetical order, and they can find things pretty quickly that way. This helpers button will display, you can't see it right now, but it will display the letter names of the answers right here. Okay. Now, the thing is, I'll go ahead and show you that. The thing is, you see, there it is right there. It's pretty easy to just memorize F-A-C-E, face is in the space. Face rhymes with face. Face rhymes with space, excuse me. I think that's pretty easy to do for your average 6 years old and up beginner. So I would leave that out and only include this if you have a really young beginner student who's like 4 years old or something, and having that there might be something that they need. Other than that, I would switch that to the off position. Accidentals is a fancy way of saying sharps and flats. We've already pretty much said we don't want any, so we're going to leave this unchecked. Note filter. Note filter is going to determine what options you have in terms of selecting your answer right here. I have selected to just display A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now, when I switch this to off, I just want to show you what that does so you can get an idea. See, that gives you way more options. And since we've turned off our sharps and flats, it seems unnecessary to have like all these options here, a little confusing maybe for the beginner. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that note filter and put that back on. As I become more advanced, I could go ahead and switch on a couple of flats and sharps that I want to add, but right now, today we're going to set this for no sharps and flats being displayed. Okay. This is asking you a very important question. After you have identified the note and chosen the answer, how do you want the next question displayed? Do you want it to display immediately? Now that sounds really good, but the problem with that is immediately shuts off the audio. And then basically all you're doing is seeing the notes and you can't hear them. No matter what level you are on, I think hearing the notes, the pitches, is really helpful with your ear training. So I would not choose that no matter what level I'm on. Waiting to hear the next question, I think that I would not choose because we're being timed, and that would just slow us down. And I have selected after audio because that means that I will hear the sound of the note and then it will immediately switch to the next question. That seems to work for me. And then down below, the last question is about your challenge mode. I love challenge mode because it sets parameters in which I know I'm only going to be reading notes for a minute, or it could be, longer than that. You just slide this slider up and down to whatever time period you would like to read notes for. I'm in favor of 1 minute drills. I'm putting in here 10 questions because if it's somebody who's never done this before, that may be good enough as a start. And then as you start answering the questions more quickly and feeling that you're not being challenged, then you could push this higher and higher. Okay. All right. Believe it or not, we are ready to go ahead and answer some questions here. So let's start the challenge. So as I was saying before, I can hear the sound of each note as I'm selecting it. Okay, and as you can see, I got 10 out of 10 correct. I'm sorry, it's telling me that I actually completed 10 questions out of 10. And then this is my percentage of what I got correct. So if I had gotten one wrong, this would have been 9 out of 10. And this would have been 90%. Okay. And as you can see, I did it in 31 seconds. So basically, if that happens to you, then that means this is not enough of a challenge. And you would go back in here into the controls and you would boost the amount of questions, maybe change it to 15 or 20. Okay. Over here, I can view a report of exactly what it is that I've done, all of my parameters that I chose, as well as my timing and my percentages and how many questions I answered, and the name of the exercise that I completed. Just type your name right here. And at that point, you click sign and you copy the link. And that will be something you can drop into an email and send it to your teacher. Or if you want to print it out and bring it to class with you, you have a lot of great options with this program. That concludes this tutorial, and I want to encourage you to use this exercise every day to improve your note recognition skills.